I'm 94 years old and my husband died last week. Thursday morning, 6:47 a.m., still dark outside. He was sitting in his blue recliner, the one with the worn armrest where he'd rest his coffee mug every single morning for 52 years. I brought him his oatmeal like always, the kind with the cinnamon and raisins, and when I touched his shoulder he was already gone, just like that, quiet, peaceful, the crossword puzzle still open on his lap, his reading glasses crooked on his face. And before the ambulance came, before I called our daughter Sarah, before any of it became real, I sat down on the ottoman next to him and I remembered something he made me promise 6 months ago. He was in the hospital then, after his second heart attack, and he grabbed my hand with those big carpenter hands of his, and he said, "Dorothy, when I'm gone, you tell people what we figured out. You tell them they're doing it all wrong." So that's what I'm doing, because Frank was right. We spent 5 decades watching people run themselves into the ground, and we figured out something different. Something nobody wants to hear because it sounds too simple, too selfish, too against everything we're taught. But it worked for us. And now that he's gone, I'll be damned if I keep it to myself. Let me tell you about Frank first, because you need to understand who I'm talking about. We met in 1972. I was 42, divorced, working 2 jobs, raising 3 kids on my own. Everyone said I was too old, too busy, too damaged to find anyone decent. Frank was 45, a widower, ran his own carpentry business, wore the same flannel shirts until they fell apart, made terrible jokes, had this laugh that sounded like a car engine trying to start. On our 3rd date, he looked at me over diner coffee and said, "I'm too old to pretend. Here's what I want, someone who doesn't need me to be anything I'm not, and I'll give you the same." We got married 3 months later at the courthouse. No big wedding, no debt, no nonsense. My mother didn't speak to me for a year because we didn't do it properly. Best decision I ever made. And for 52 years, Frank and I built a life that made other people uncomfortable. We didn't have a big house. We didn't throw elaborate dinner parties. We didn't sacrifice ourselves for every person who asked. And people judged us for it. My sister Margaret used to say we were selfish. My neighbor Doris from book club called us odd. Even my own daughter Sarah would make comments about how we kept to ourselves too much. But you know what we had? We had Thursday mornings. Every Thursday, 7:15 a.m., we'd sit at our kitchen table, drink terrible instant coffee, and do the crossword puzzle together. He'd get the sports clues. I'd get the literature ones. We'd argue about the spelling. That was 52 years of Thursdays. That was 2007-04 Thursday mornings of just being there together, not trying to impress anyone or prove anything. And now he's gone, and I've got all these Thursday mornings stretching out ahead of me, and I'm sitting here thinking about what he wanted me to tell you. First thing, and this is the one that's going to make some of you angry, you need to learn to be selfish about your time. Not mean, not cruel, selfish. I know. You've been taught your whole life that putting yourself first makes you a bad person, that good people sacrifice, that if you're not exhausted, you're not doing enough. It's garbage, complete garbage, and it will kill you. When Frank and I got married, I had friends who expected me to host every holiday, family who expected me to babysit every grandchild, church ladies who expected me to join every committee, and I said no. Lord, did I say no? I said no to Thanksgiving hosting because I wanted to eat store-bought pie in my pajamas with Frank. I said no to babysitting every weekend because I wanted Saturday mornings to read my mystery novels in peace. I said no to the church fundraiser committee because those meetings made me want to scream into a pillow. And people got upset. They called me selfish. They said I was being difficult. My sister Margaret didn't talk to me for 6 months after I refused to host Christmas dinner 3 years in a row. But here's what happened. I didn't die from their disappointment. They found someone else to host, someone else to babysit, someone else to serve on their committee. Life went on, and Frank and I had our time. We had our quiet mornings, our long walks, our Saturday nights playing gin rummy and listening to old radio programs. We had a life we actually enjoyed instead of a life we were too exhausted to live. Margaret, by the way, worked herself into an early grave trying to please everyone, hosted every holiday until she had a stroke at 68, died 3 years later, bitter as vinegar, complaining that nobody appreciated her enough. I loved my sister, but she chose martyrdom, and it didn't save anyone. It just made her miserable. And the worst part? The people she sacrificed for, they just found someone else to use up after she was gone. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Your martyrdom is replaceable. The casseroles you make, the parties you throw, the committees you serve on, someone else will do them when you're gone. But the life you could have lived, the quiet moments with the people you love, those are gone forever. Second tip, and this one's practical, the kind of thing Frank would say while fixing a cabinet. Stop spending money on things that don't matter. I mean it. Stop it. We live in a world that tells you to buy bigger houses, newer cars, fancier vacations so you can post photos and prove you're living well. It's a trap. Frank and I lived in the same 2,100 square foot house for 47 years. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen the size of a postage stamp. Our friends bought bigger houses, second homes, lake houses. They had mortgages that stressed them out, property taxes that made them stay in jobs they hated, maintenance costs that ate their weekends. We had our little paid-off house, and we had freedom. Every Friday night, Frank would come home from work. We'd make spaghetti, and we'd sit on our back porch and listen to the birds. No debt, no pressure, no keeping up with anyone. We drove the same Toyota Camry for 19 years. Ugly beige thing, cloth seats, manual windows. But it ran, and it was paid for, and we didn't waste a single Saturday at a car dealership trying to impress strangers. Here's what we did with the money we saved. We went to the library every Tuesday afternoon. Free. We walked through the state park every Sunday morning. Free. We had coffee at the same diner every Saturday for 40 years. $6.50 for 2 coffees and a shared piece of pie. The waitress Linda knew our order before we sat down. That diner closed last year, and I cried more over that than I did over most funerals. Our friend Richard, he bought a boat. A big fancy boat he used maybe 6 times before his back got too bad. Spent $40,000 on that thing, plus storage, plus maintenance. When he died last year, his kids sold it for almost nothing and used the money to pay his credit card debt. Frank and I left our daughter Sarah a paid-off house, $70,000 in savings and 0 debt. Not because we were rich, because we didn't waste money pretending to be. I watched so many people trade their lives for things they didn't even want. They just thought they were supposed to want them. My friend Helen bought a vacation home in Florida because that's what successful people did. Spent 15 years paying for it, stressing about renters, flying down twice a year to check on it. She hated Florida, hated the heat, hated the bugs, hated being away from home, but she kept it because selling it would mean admitting she'd made a mistake. She died still owning that house she hated, and her son sold it within 3 months. All that money, all that stress for nothing. Third thing, and Frank would always laugh when he said this, ignore most advice, including mine. People are going to tell you how to live your life like they've got it all figured out. They don't. Nobody does. We're all just making it up as we go along. When I was 50, my doctor told me I needed to exercise more, eat less fat, take up yoga, meditate, drink more water, join a gym. You know what I did? I kept taking my evening walks with Frank, kept eating butter on my toast, kept drinking 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and lived to be 94. My neighbor Janice followed every health trend that came along. Paleo, keto, juice cleanses, hot yoga, cold plunges, intermittent fasting. Spent a fortune on supplements and gym memberships and organic everything. She died at 71 from stress-induced heart problems, having never enjoyed a meal in the last 20 years of her life. I'm not saying ignore your doctor or be reckless. I'm saying the health industry wants you anxious and buying things. They want you to believe that if you just do this one more thing, buy this one more product, follow this one more influencer, you'll finally be healthy and happy. You won't. You'll just be broke and exhausted. Frank smoked a pipe until he was 60, drank whiskey every Saturday night, ate red meat twice a week, never set foot in a gym. He lived to be 97 and died peacefully in his favorite chair doing what he loved. My point isn't that smoking is good or exercise is bad. My point is that stress kills you faster than almost anything else. And most of what we call healthy living is just manufactured stress designed to make you feel like you're failing. Eat food you enjoy, move in ways that feel good, sleep when you're tired, stop trying to optimize yourself into an early grave. I knew a woman named Patricia who tracked every calorie, every step, every hour of sleep for 30 years, had spreadsheets, had charts, knew exactly what she ate on March 15, 1993. You know what she didn't have? Joy, spontaneity, the ability to eat a piece of birthday cake without calculating how many extra steps she'd need to take. She lived to be 85 and spent most of those years in a prison of her own making. And at her funeral, her daughter told me Patricia's dying words were about regretting all the cake she didn't eat. Not joking. That's what 30 years of obsessive health tracking got her. Fourth, and this is the one that saved us the most money and sanity. You don't need to celebrate everything. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, they've all turned into these massive productions where you're expected to spend hundreds of dollars and perform joy for social media. It's exhausting and it's fake. For our 25th wedding anniversary, you know what Frank and I did? We went to the same diner we always went to, ordered the same thing we always ordered, and then we came home and watched a movie on TV. No fancy dinner, no expensive trip, no jewelry, no pressure, and it was perfect. Because we were together and we weren't pretending to be people we weren't. Every Christmas, while our friends were going into debt buying presents for people who didn't need anything, we gave each other one small gift, usually something practical, and spent the day in our pajamas. Every birthday, cake from the grocery store, cards we made ourselves, maybe a phone call to the kids. That's it. Our friend Barbara threw elaborate birthday parties every year until she was 80. Spent thousands, stressed for weeks. Half the people didn't show up. The ones who did complained about the food or left early. She did it because she thought that's what you're supposed to do. We skipped it because we knew better. The best moments in our 52 years weren't the celebrated ones. They were the random Tuesday afternoons when Frank would come home early and we'd make grilled cheese sandwiches and sit in the backyard. They were the Sunday mornings when we'd read the paper together in complete silence. They were the 1,000 unremarkable, uncelebrated moments that nobody posted about and everyone forgot except us. Here's what I learned. The more you celebrate something, the less special it becomes. When every day is someone's birthday or some holiday or some manufactured reason to spend money and perform happiness, nothing feels special anymore. Frank and I kept our celebrations small and rare, which made them actually mean something. Our 50th anniversary, we sat on our back porch, ate sandwiches, and looked through old photo albums. Cost us maybe $10. Best anniversary we ever had. Fifth thing, and Frank was absolutely firm about this one: protect your mornings. Your mornings are sacred. They set the tone for your entire day, and if you give them away to everyone else's demands, you'll never get them back. For 52 years, Frank and I had a rule. Before 9 a.m., the world doesn't exist. No phone calls, no visitors, no errands, no obligations. That was our time. Frank would make the coffee, terrible instant stuff that I pretended to like because he was so proud of it. I'd make toast. We'd sit at our table, do the crossword, talk about nonsense, plan our day. Some mornings we didn't even talk. We'd just sit there in comfortable silence, and that was enough. My daughter Sarah used to call at 7 a.m. with her problems. Needed advice, needed someone to watch the kids, needed to vent about her husband. I started letting it go to voicemail, called her back at 9:30. She got upset at first, said I was being unavailable. I told her I was being sane. After a few months, she stopped calling early, started solving more of her own problems. Our relationship got better because I had boundaries. I see people now, they wake up and immediately check their phones, emails, texts, news, social media. They give away their peace before they're even fully awake. Then they wonder why they're anxious all day. Your morning is yours. Protect it like you'd protect your wallet. Don't let other people steal it from you before you've even had your coffee. Frank used to say that how you spend the first hour of your day determines the quality of the other 23. He was right. On the mornings I broke our rule, answered the phone early, let the world in before I was ready. The whole day felt off, rushed, scattered. Not mine. I'd be irritable, unfocused, resentful. And for what? So I could respond to someone else's emergency that usually wasn't even an emergency at all. Now here's the thing nobody tells you about marriage, about building a life with someone. It's not about the big romantic gestures. It's not about always being happy or never fighting or completing each other or any of that nonsense you see in movies. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when you'd rather be anywhere else. Frank and I fought. Lord, did we fight. Mostly about stupid things. How to load the dishwasher, whether to keep the thermostat at 68 or 70, his terrible jokes that he'd tell 50 times, my obsession with keeping the kitchen clean. But we fought fair. We didn't bring up old stuff. We didn't call each other names, and we never ever went to bed angry. That was our rule. Sometimes that meant staying up until midnight, hashing things out when we both just wanted to sleep. But it meant we woke up together, starting fresh. What I'm trying to tell you, what Frank wanted me to tell you, is that marriage isn't about finding your soulmate or your other half or someone who makes you complete. That's Disney Channel garbage. Marriage is about finding someone you can stand to be bored with, someone whose terrible habits you can tolerate, someone who'll sit with you in silence on a random Thursday morning and not make it weird. Frank wasn't perfect. He left his tools everywhere. He told the same stories until I wanted to scream. He refused to go to the doctor until things got really bad. He snored like a chainsaw and refused to believe it. But he was there, every morning, every night, every Thursday with the crossword puzzle. He was there, and now he's not. And I'd give anything to hear one more of those terrible jokes or trip over his tools one more time or lie awake listening to that awful snoring. The thing about building a life with someone is that it's made up of a million tiny choices. To be patient when you want to snap, to listen when you want to talk, to stay when leaving would be easier. Frank and I chose each other every single day for 52 years. Some days that choice was easy. Some days it was hard. But we kept choosing, and that's what mattered. I see these young couples now. They get married, and the first time things get difficult, they talk about growing apart, or finding themselves, or needing space. They think marriage is supposed to feel like the honeymoon phase forever. It's not. Most of marriage is boring. Most of it is sitting on the couch in comfortable silence or arguing about whose turn it is to take out the trash. And that's okay. That's actually the good part, if you let it be. Last Thursday, the Thursday he died, we'd finished most of the crossword. Got stuck on 47 across. Greek goddess of wisdom, 8 letters. I couldn't get it. Frank was quiet, which wasn't like him. I looked over and his eyes were closed, and I thought he was just thinking, but he wasn't. He was gone. Athena, by the way, that was the answer. I figured it out after, sitting at the hospital, waiting for them to finish their paperwork, their procedures, all the administrative nonsense that happens when someone dies. I wrote it in with my pen, finished the puzzle alone for the first time in 52 years, and I cried so hard I thought I might break. The nurses were kind. They brought me water, tissues, asked if there was anyone they could call, but I just sat there holding that stupid crossword puzzle, thinking about how we'd never know if Frank would have gotten Athena or if we would have sat there arguing about it for another 10 minutes like we usually did. I brought that crossword puzzle home with me. It's sitting on the kitchen table right now, finished in 2 different pens. His blue one for the clues he got, my black one for the ones I finished after. I can't bring myself to throw it away. So here's my promise to Frank, the one I'm keeping right now by telling you all this. Live small, live quiet, live selfish. Protect your time like it's the only thing you own, because it is. Say no to things that drain you. Say yes to boring Thursday mornings with people you love. Stop performing for strangers. Stop buying things you don't need. Stop celebrating everything like it's supposed to be perfect. Stop trying to be healthy and happy and optimized and better. Just be here. Be present. Be stubbornly, defiantly ordinary. Because at the end, when you're 94 years old and your person is gone and you're finishing the crossword puzzle alone, you won't care about the big house you didn't buy, or the fancy vacation you didn't take, or the important people you didn't impress. You'll care about the Thursday mornings. You'll care about the quiet moments. You'll care that you were there, really there, not somewhere else worrying about what you should be doing instead. You'll care about whether you loved hard enough while you had the chance. It's 3 p.m. now. Time for my tea. Earl Grey, same cup I've used for 30 years. The one with the chip on the handle that Frank always said I should throw away. I'm going to sit in the living room, in my chair, not his, and I'm going to look at that empty blue recliner, and I'm going to miss him so much it hurts. And then I'm going to drink my tea, and maybe I'll do tomorrow's crossword early, just to have something to do with my hands. Mildred, our cat, is already judging me from the windowsill. She's 16, fat, mean, spends most of her time sleeping and knocking things off counters. Frank loved that terrible cat, spoiled her rotten, gave her treats when I wasn't looking, let her sleep on his lap while he watched the evening news. She hasn't gone near his chair since Thursday. Animals know. I'm going to feed her in a minute, and she's going to complain that it's not the right kind of food, and life is going to keep going, whether I'm ready or not. That's the deal. You show up, you do your best, you protect your Thursday mornings, and eventually time takes everyone you love. But you keep showing up anyway. That's what Frank would want. That's what I promised him. Tomorrow's Friday. First Friday in 52 years I won't have Frank coming home from work. First Friday I won't make spaghetti for 2, but I'll sit on that back porch anyway, and I'll listen to the birds, and I'll remember that we did it right. We lived small and we lived ours, and that's more than most people can say. Now stop reading this and go do something ordinary with someone you love. Make them coffee. Sit in silence. Argue about a crossword clue. Whatever it is, do it now, today, because later never comes. Time's shorter than you think.